Gio was a TV presenter who came from a small village nestled between green hills and sparkling rivers. Everyone in the village loved listening to him on the radio. Gio had a special talent for telling stories that made people laugh and think. His voice was warm and friendly. It felt like he was just talking to you. People would gather around their radios, eager to hear his show. And the way he made even the dialogue topic exciting. Gio was proud of his work at the village radio. He dreamed of a day of becoming a big star on the television. Gio had a beautiful wife named Kwezi. She was kind-hearted and loved to help others in the village. Everyone admired her for her friendly nature and willingness to lend a hand to anyone in need. Kwezi often volunteered at the local school, teaching children and organizing community events. She could bake delicious treats for the village affairs, and her smile would brighten everyone's day. Gio adored Kwezi for her caring spirit and how she made the village a better place. They shared many happy moments together, whether it was talking or walking hand in hand by the river or laughing together in their cozy home. However, despite their happiness, Gio had a secret that weighed heavily on his heart. He loved Kwezi deeply, but he sometimes felt unsure about their future together. Gio dreamed of moving to the city and becoming famous, but he worried about how people in the city would see them as a couple. Would they accept Kwezi, a simple village girl? Would they judge her for her roots? Gio couldn't shake the feeling that if he wanted to succeed, he might need to present himself differently. This internal struggle filled him with anxiety, and as he prepared to leave the village, he couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and fear. As the day of the departure approached, Gio made a promise to himself. He would do everything he could to succeed in the city and make Kwezi proud. But deep down, he also made a troubling decision that would change their lives forever. Gio decided that when they arrived in the city, he would tell everyone that Kwezi was his sister instead of his wife. He thought it would help him fit in and gain popularity faster. He wanted to be the star everyone admired, and he believed that keeping Kwezi hidden was the only way to achieve that. Little did he know that this decision would lead to a web of lies that would test their love and change their lives in a way he never imagined. As the sun set on their village, Gio and Kwezi packed their bags, unaware of the challenges waiting for them in the village. They held hands tightly, ready to embrace the unknown together. But Gio's secret loomed over them, casting a shadow on their bright future. The day finally arrived for Gio and Kwezi to leave their beloved village. The sun shone brightly, casting a warm glow over the landscape as they stepped outside of their home, ready for the adventure ahead. Friends and family gathered to see them off, waving and cheering. Gio felt a mix of excitement and sadness. He would miss the village and all the familiar faces, but he was determined to make a name for himself in the city. As they traveled in a small bus, Gio looked out the window at the lush green fields and winding river. Kwezi sitting beside him, smiling brightly, her eyes sparkling with hope. "I can't wait to explore the city with you," she exclaimed. Gio smiled back, but inside he felt a note of worry tightening in his stomach. He had kept his promise to tell everyone that Kwezi was his sister, and he hoped it wouldn't break her heart when the truth comes out. After hours of travel, they finally arrived in the bustling city. The sound of honking cars, laughter, and chatter filled the air. Gio's heart raced with excitement as he stepped off the bus. He quickly felt overwhelmed by the tall buildings and the crowd of people. Kwezi took his hand, squeezing it tightly. "It's amazing," she said, her eyes widened with wonder. "Look at all the lights and people." Gio tried to match with her excitement. "Yes, it's incredible." "Yes, it's incredible," he replied, though his mind was racing with thoughts of how to hide their true relationship. They found a small apartment to rent, just big enough for the two of them. It was a cozy space, but Kwezi quickly made it feel like home with her warmth and love. The next day, Gio began his new job as a presenter at a local TV station. He felt nervous but excited as he prepared for her first broadcast. "Just remember, you're a star," Kwezi encouraged him as she helped him pick out the sharp outfit. Her support meant the world to him, and he promised to make her proud. As Gio arrived at the TV station, he was greeted by a bustling energy of the newsroom. People rushed around getting ready for the day's show. Gio felt thrilled as he met his colleagues, including the boss's daughter, Veronica. She was beautiful and confident, and Gio couldn't help but notice how she seemed to light up the room. He felt drawn to her, but quickly reminded himself of his promise to Kwezi. After the morning meeting, Gio was introduced to his team. Everyone was friendly, but he couldn't shake the feeling that he needed to keep Kwezi a secret. "Just tell them she's your sister," he whispered to himself. "It's easier this way." As the day went on, Gio's broadcast was a success. He received compliments and praise, which boosted his confidence. However, he couldn't shake the guilt of lying about Kwezi. That evening, when they returned home, Kwezi was all smiles. "I'm proud of you, Gio. You are amazing," she beamed. "Thanks, Kwezi," he replied, but inside he felt a pang of sadness. "You know, people really liked me today. I think I might do more shows soon." "That's wonderful. You deserve it," she said, hugging him tightly. Gio wished he could tell her the truth about his worries and his decision, but he pushed those thoughts aside, thinking he would handle everything later. In the days that followed, Gio became busier with work, and Kwezi made new friends in the city. Yet Gio found himself spending more time with Veronica. They shared laughs, ideas, and upcoming shows, and Gio began to feel an attraction that he had tried to ignore. The more he got to know her, the more complicated things became. Gio told himself it was harmless, but deep down he was torn between two worlds: his love for Kwezi and the allure of the city life. As the weeks passed, Gio's life began to feel heavier. He was jingling his public personnel with the secret of his marriage, and the pressure was building. Would he be able to keep Kwezi's true identity hidden forever? And what would happen if Veronica discovered the truth? Gio's heart raced with anxiety, and he knew he had to make a choice before everything is out of control. As the weeks turned into months, Gio's life became whirlwind of activity. His job at the TV station was going well, and he was becoming more popular with each broadcast. He enjoyed the thrill of being in front of the camera, but the burden of his secret was weighing heavily on his heart. Each day, he told his colleague that Kwezi was his sister, but every time he said it, a pang of guilt shot through him. Kwezi, on the other hand, was thriving in the city. She made friends quickly, joining a local women's group that focused on community services. Kwezi's worth and charm drew people near to her, and soon she was well loved by everyone. She often came home excitedly, sharing stories about her new friends, volunteering, and activities they organized. Gio couldn't help but smile at her happiness, but also felt a growing distance between them. One evening, after a long day of work, Gio returned home feeling exhausted. Kwezi was sitting on the table, a plate of steaming rice and vegetable in front of her. "I made your favorite," she said, beaming with pride. Gio sat down, grateful for her thoughtfulness. However, as they ate, he couldn't shake the feeling that their lives were diverging. "Kwezi, how do you feel about the city?" he asked, trying to engage her in a conversation. I love it," she replied, her eyes sparkling. "There's so much to do, and I've met some amazing people. I feel like I belong here." Gio felt a twinge of jealousy. "That's great," he said, forcing a smile. "I'm glad you're happy." But Kwezi continued to talk about her new friends and activities. Gio's heart sank. He realized he hadn't shared much about his work or the challenges he faced. Instead, he chose to keep his feelings bottled up. He wanted to be the perfect husband, but he was slipping into a role that felt more like a lie than the truth. As the days went by, Gio found himself spending more time with Veronica. They worked closely on several projects, and she often praised him for his creativity. The attention he received from her made Gio feel special, and he began to enjoy the thrill of being around her. He laughed at her jokes and felt a connection that was both exciting and terrifying. He knew he wouldn't be developing feelings for her, but every time he was with her, it felt like a forbidden adventure. One afternoon, while they were brainstorming ideas of an upcoming show, Veronica leaned in closer. "You know, Gio, you are really talented. I think you could go far in this industry," she said, her voice low and encouraging. Gio's heart raced. "Thank you, Veronica. That means a lot from you," he replied, trying to keep his composure. "Do you ever think about how far you've come?" she asked, her gaze steady. "You've worked so hard, and you deserve to enjoy your success." Gio felt a mix of pride and guilt wash over her. He remembered Kwezi's sacrifices, how she had supported him through thick and thin. He wanted to be the man she believed him to be, but the temptation of the city was growing stronger. That evening, Gio returned home feeling conflicted. Kwezi was waiting for him with a big smile and a warm hug. "How was your day?" she asked, her voice filled with love. It was good," he replied, trying to hide his inner turmoil. "Just busy with work." As they sat together, Gio noticed a framed photo of their wedding day on the wall. They looked so happy, so in love. A wave of guilt washed over him. "Kwezi, I've been thinking," he started, but the words caught his heart. He wanted to tell her everything, the truth about his feelings, his struggles with the situation, and the growing friendship with Veronica. But the fear held him back. What if it hurt her? What if she couldn't understand? Instead, he smiled and said, "Let's go out tomorrow. We explore the city together. I want to spend more time with you." Kwezi's eyes lit up. "Really? That sounds wonderful. I would love that." As they planned their day, Gio felt a flicker of hope. Maybe spending time with Kwezi would help him reconnect with the love they shared. He needed to remind himself of the reason he fell in love with her in the first place. But deep inside, the tension between his heart and his choice was becoming unbearable. Would he be able to keep his lies hidden? Or would the truth eventually come crashing down around him? The next day, Gio and Kwezi set out to explore the city. The sun shone brightly and the streets were bustling with people. Kwezi grabbed Gio's hand, her excitement palpable. "Look at all the shops," she exclaimed, pointing at the colorful market filled with vibrant fabrics and delicious food. Gio smiled, but he felt a flutter of anxiety. "Let's go check it out," he said, trying to focus on her joy. As they walked through the market, Kwezi was in awe of everything around her. She admired beautiful jewelries, tasted the spice street food, and chatted with the vendors. Gio watched her, his heart swelling with love and admiration. However, as they wandered through the crowded market, Gio spotted Veronica in the distance, walking with a group of friends. His heart raced as he quickly turned his gaze away, hoping Kwezi wouldn't notice. But Kwezi was observant and soon followed his line of sight. "Is that someone you know?" she asked. Her brow furrowed. No, just a stranger," Gio replied, forcing a smile. He felt a knot tightening in his stomach, knowing that he was lying again. After spending the day exploring, they found a quiet park to relax in. Gio and Kwezi sat on the bench, enjoying the warm breeze. Kwezi leaned her head on Gio's shoulder. For a moment, everything felt perfect. "I love spending time with you like this," she said softly. "Me too," Gio replied, feeling the weight of his secret pressing down on him. He wanted to confess everything, but the fear of losing Kwezi was too strong. Suddenly, Kwezi sat up straight. "Gio, can I ask you something?" she asked, looking serious. "Do you ever think about the future? About us?" Gio's heart raced. Of course, I want us to have a great life together," he stammered, his mind racing with thoughts of his lies. "I just want to make sure we're on the same page," Kwezi continued, her expression sincere. "I love you, and I want to build a future together. But sometimes I feel like there is something you're not telling me." Gio swallowed hard, panic rising in his chest. "No, there is nothing. I promise," he replied quickly. He felt guilt for lying, but feared the truth would shatter her happiness. Kwezi nodded, but still looked concerned. As they continued to walk, Gio noticed a couple nearby, laughing and sharing a moment together. A wave of longing washed over him. He wanted that kind of love with Kwezi, but the lies he told were creating a wall between them. Later that evening, as they returned home, Gio's mind was racing. He couldn't continue living this way, pretending Kwezi was just his sister. The love they shared was real, and he needed to find a way to show her that. But how? When they entered their apartment, Kwezi turned to Gio, her eyes full of hope. "I'm so glad we had today together," she said. "I feel closer to you." "Me too," Gio said, but inside he felt a storm brewing. The tension of his double life was becoming unbearable. He knew he had to make a choice soon. Would he choose the easy path of deception, or would he take a brave step of honesty, even if it meant risking everything? As he lay in bed that night, Gio stared at the ceiling, the weight of his decision pressing down on him. He needed to confront his feelings and his choice. Tomorrow would be a new day, and it was time to face the truth before it was too late. The morning sun seemed through the window, casting a warm glow over the apartment. Gio woke up feeling a mix of determination and fear. Today was the day he would finally talk to Kwezi about everything that had been bothering him. He knew it wouldn't be easy, but keeping secrets was becoming unbearable. As he got ready for the day, Gio couldn't shake off the feeling of dread. He wanted to be brave for Kwezi, but the thought of hurting her made his heart inch. He went to the kitchen where Kwezi was preparing breakfast. The smell of the porridge filled the air, and Gio smiled at her, trying to mask his anxiety. "Good morning, love," Kwezi said, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "I made your favorite." Gio took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the conversation he needed to have hanging heavily in the air. "Thanks, Kwezi. It looks delicious," he said, forcing a smile as he sat down. As they ate, Kwezi chatted about her plans for the day, eager to share her excitement. "I'm meeting with some friends of the community group later. We're organizing a charity event to help the local school," she said. "That sounds great," Gio replied, trying to focus on her words. But inside, he felt the storm brewing. He couldn't continue this way. He needed to tell her about Veronica and his feelings. He just didn't know how to start. After breakfast, Kwezi gathered her things and kissed Gio on her cheek. "I'll be back." "I love you," she said, heading out of the door with a wave. I love you too, Gio replied, his heart heavy. As soon as she left, he sat down on the couch, trying to collect his thoughts. The apartment felt empty without her energy, and the silence was deafening. Gio thought about his life back in the village, the love he felt for Kwezi, and the guilt of living a lie. He grabbed his phone and scrolled through his contacts until he found Veronica's name. He hesitated, feeling torn, but he needed to figure out things without her. Hey, Gio, what's up? Veronica's voice sounded cheerful over the phone. Hey, Veronica, I was wondering if you could meet later. There is something I need to talk to you about, Gio said, his voice shaky. Sure, let's meet at the cafe after work, she replied. And Gio agreed, feeling the knot tighten in his stomach. The rest of the day dragged on. Gio tried to focus on his work, but his mind kept wandering. He felt a mix of excitement and dread about the upcoming conversations. How could he tell Kwezi the truth? And what would he say to Veronica? When the time finally came, Gio arrived at the cafe early, his heart racing. He ordered a drink and sat at the small table, tapping his fingers nervously on the surface. The cafe was buzzing with people, laughter and chatter. But all he could think about was the weight of the decision he had to make. Veronica arrived shortly after, her smile brightening the room. Hey, Gio, you look serious, she said as she sat down. Yeah, I have a lot on my mind, Gio replied. Taking a deep breath, I want to talk to you about us. Veronica raised an eyebrow, a hint of curiosity in her expression. Us? What do you mean? Gio looked down at his drink, searching for the right words. I've been spending a lot of time with you, and I really enjoy it, but I'm married. And I don't want to hurt anyone, he said, feeling his heart racing. Married? Veronica's smile fluttered. You've never mentioned that before. I know. I've been keeping it a secret, Gio admitted, feeling the weight of lies crushing on him. My wife, Kwezi, is the sweetest person. I love her. But I've been spending time with you too, and I don't know what to do. Veronica looked thoughtful, her expression shifting from surprise to understanding. Gio, I appreciate your honesty, but you need to figure out what you really want. You can't have both worlds without hurting someone in the process. Gio felt a wave of relief at finally sharing his truth, but also guilt at the thought of hurting Kwezi. I know, I need to talk to Kwezi too. I just hope she understands. Veronica nodded. It's good that you're really planning to be honest with her. You owe it to her and to yourself. Just be prepared for her reaction. After their conversation, Gio left the cafe feeling both lighter and more burdened than before. He knew he had to confront Kwezi soon, but the thought of her reaction terrified him. He spent the rest of the evening pacing around the apartment, unable to focus on anything else. Finally, as the night fell, he heard Kwezi's key in the door. She walked in, her cheeks flushing with excitement from her day. Gio, you won't believe what we've planned for the charity event, she exclaimed. Gio smiled weakly, feeling heaviness return. Kwezi, we need to talk for a moment, he asked, his heart pounding. Of course, what's up? She replied, her expression turning serious. Gio took a deep breath, knowing he had to say it. I've been keeping something from you, and it's time I tell you the truth. Kwezi looked at him with concern, and the weight of his secret felt like a mountain ready to crumble. As he prepared to share his truth, Gio hoped with all his heart that love would prevail in the end. Gio's heart raced as he prepared to speak. Kwezi's eyes filled with worry, and he felt the gravity of the moment pressing down on him. Kwesi, there is something important I need to tell you. It's about my feelings and my friendship with Veronica, he began, struggling to find the right words. Kwesi's expression changed, her brows furrowing in confusion. What do you mean? Is something wrong? Gio swallowed hard, his throat dry. I've been spending a lot of time with Veronica at work. I really enjoying being around her. I've developed feelings I didn't mean for it to happen, but it has, he confessed. He's feeling a mixture of fear and relief as he finally let the truth out. Kwesi's eyes widened, and for a moment there was silence. Gio could see a shock in her expression, and his heart sank as he realized how much pain his words were causing her. Gio, how could you? She whispered, tears welling up in her eyes. I'm so sorry, Kwesi. I didn't want to hurt you. I love you, but I've confessed, he said, desperate to explain. I've been living a lie, pretending you were just my sister. I thought it would make things easier, but it only made it worse. Kwesi shook her head, her voice trembling. How could you lie to me like that? I thought we were building a life together. I believed in us. Gio reached her hand, but she pulled it away, her expression filled with hurt. Please, Kwesi, let me explain. I never wanted to deceive you. I was ashamed of my feelings. I thought if I kept it a secret, I could protect you, he said, feeling the weight of his choice crash over him like a tidal wave. You thought lying was protecting me, Kwesi exclaimed, her voice rising. You've broken my trust, Gio. I loved you and I believed in you. Gio felt a pang of guilt shoot through him. I know I messed up. I'm so sorry. I want to make things right. I want to be honest with you and find a way to move forward, he pleaded, desperation creeping into his voice. Kwesi's tears split over and she turned away, unable to look at him. I need time, Gio. I can't just forget everything you've done. This hurts so much. Gio's heart shattered at her words. He realized how deeply he had wounded her. I understand. Take all the time you need. I just want you to know that I still love you. I want to work through this, but I can't do it alone. Kwesi took a deep breath, her shoulders trembling. I need to think about everything. I never expected this from you, she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. Gio watched as she walked into their bedroom, shutting the door behind her. The sound echoed in his chest, leaving him feeling howled and lost. He sat down on the couch, feeling the weight of his choice pressing down on him. The silence in the apartment was deafening. Gio felt like it was a nightmare where everything he cared about was slipping through his fingers. He picked up his phone, staring at it for a long time. Then he set it down again. He needed to give Kwesi space, but the thought of losing her was unbearable. As the hours passed, Gio replayed their conversation over and over in his head. He remembered the laughter they shared, the dreams they built together, and the love that once felt unbreakable. Now everything felt fragile, as if a single wrong word could shatter what little was left. Gio sighed deeply, his heart aching with regret. He thought about the life he had created with Kwesi, and how easily he had let it slip away. The laughter, the shared dreams, and the simple moments of joy felt like a distant memories, overshadowed by the weight of his mistake. This is the end of our part 1. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for reaching this far. What is happening next? What is happening to the best couple? See you in my next part. I love you all.